What was the most important defensive play of the Saints upset of Tampa Bay on Sunday? I'm going to make the case it's the interception by Alontae Taylor, and I'm going to show you why. But there were quite a few honorable mention plays from the game also, and we're going to break them all down in Saints film room. I'm Tim. Let's talk Saints. So before we break down the defensive gems, let me kind of set the stage, put a little context on the game overall, offensively for the Bucs. They were down their starting left tackle, Tristan Wirfs, one of the really, really good ones in the NFL. He was out due to injury, didn't play at all. Their left guard, Ben Granderson, left after just 32 offensive snaps due to injury. Fortunately, that play is on the breakdown. But even with a depleted left side of that good offensive line they have, it still wasn't easy. Baker Mayfield did an excellent job scrambling. That gave us fits. We had coverage breakdowns. We had run fit breakdowns. And both times, or every time we did, they got a big play or an explosive play out of it. And look, the heavy rains, once they came, it just made everything messy for everybody. But here's the thing. When it mattered, this defense showed up in that game. We were 23% on third down. We held them 3 for 13. 29% on fourth down. We held them 2 for 7. So Brandon Staley got this unit to make winning plays basically when the game was on the line. So let's break down how they did it. So I think this was the biggest defensive play of the day. We're going to start with Alontae Taylor's interception in the third quarter. Now, this was on the opening drive of the third quarter. Tampa Bay's got the ball, and they had just completed back-to-back passes of 12 and 9 yards, coming out throwing for the third play in a row. We are sitting basically a two-high safety look, odd man front, 2 linebackers, 2 corners, and Taylor's actually playing the outside corner on the left down at the bottom of your screen. And this is timing. It's a good read. Tez Johnson's about to break into that space between Taylor and the safety. Mayfield's already throwing the ball. And if Taylor doesn't do what he does in the next step or two, this very well could have been a completion. But just a little contact, barely. I mean, this is really nothing, but it's everything because the ball's already gone. It's coming in. This was likely going to be on time, on target, but this little rub right here allows Taylor to get in front and jump that pass and make the pick. Great job in coverage because he gets a nice return, sets us up with field position, and we go down, take the ball, and drive down the field for our second touchdown of the game. And this, I think, was a very, very huge swing in the game where coming out after half, they hit a couple passes and start driving and get close to midfield. And then Taylor makes really good coverage right there to set himself up to jump that route and make the pick. And we're going to go over a sequence of plays from the first quarter. Right now it's 3rd and 3. It's right at the snap of the ball. They're showing run formation. We have Jordan Howden, who's the box safety, and he's just stepping up to start his run fill. Right now, he's put himself in a very good position, reading into the backfield, and this is one of 2 things he does very well on this play that we needed. First one is he readjusted his run fill when he realized where Bucky Irvin was taking the ball. And second, and most important, he makes a clean tackle right here. Holds that to a 2-yard run, and I'm sorry, that was not Bucky Irvin, that was Rachaad White, but holds him to a 2-yard run. So now that sets up a 4th and 1, which Tampa Bay is going to go for. So on the 4th and 1, I cannot honestly tell you what Tampa Bay was trying to do right here. I'm just glad whether this was intended or a screw up, and I'm inclined to think they screwed up right here. Either way, glad it worked out the way it did. Because now Irving's in the game. They're going for it on 4th and 1. They're setting up like everything is going left, if you notice what the offensive line is doing, but this is a straight pitch to the right. They have a tight end on Granderson right now, and Grando versus a tight end is something we really want to see in a running situation. But the tight end doesn't try to block him. That's more of a chip, almost like he was expecting someone else to come in there and pick up Granderson, and nobody does. So that's why I can't tell. It feels like a screw up because either that tight end should have stayed on the block or there should have been somebody pulling from the offensive line. Something. Don't care, because what happens is Granderson just cleans this up. Now, to be fair, if Granderson bites on the fake or does anything dumb, basically, for lack of a better word, this is going to be a huge play for him. But he stayed home, did his job. He had to contain on the backside, and he was really the only one there that could do it. In effect, he doesn't get blocked, makes the tackle for a 7-yard loss, turnover on downs. Now we're in the second quarter. Tampa Bay's playing a 3rd and 5. Nearly in the red zone, definitely field goal range. So at this point, you want to hold them to a field goal attempt and not give up the yardage. We're too high right now. Safety playing some man underneath. Taylor's in the slot this time, not on the outside, and he's matched up with Chris Godwin, who is Tampa Bay's version of Devon Valet in a way, but a much, much better version of it. Godwin is a real force to be reckoned with as far as being physical, making tough catches, going over the middle, that sort of thing. He's burned us before in the last few years doing stuff like that. And Taylor draws this assignment. And on a 3rd and 5, you figure that's the guy they're really looking for. And we have good coverage right now. So once again, Baker Mayfield's got to kind of anticipate the throw and be on time and on target to pick this up. And so the ball's already out, and Taylor is doing a good job once again in coverage, getting on this route. So he's got it covered very well where he can get the left hand in and knock that ball away and prevent the completion. Now, on the broadcast, they did bring up that his right hand may or may not have played a factor into what was going on here, but I don't really care, because I'll reiterate that a point I made in earlier videos when it came to what was going on downfield. These referees were not inclined to throw defensive PI. They maybe got away with one here, but I don't really care because they weren't calling it on anybody. And both teams' defenders figured that out pretty quick and were handsy in pass defense. So I think by the parameters the referee set up, this was a great play and needed to make this play, because if he doesn't do this, this is likely going to be a first down and they keep a drive going instead of just having to settle for a field goal. So once again, we're set up to try to get a stop on 3rd down and get Tampa Bay off the field. This is a 3rd and 1. And they are coming out in a strong running formation. Now, I will say beforehand, before we roll this is the last play that their starting left guard, Ben Bredesen, played, because this was the play he got injured on. Sorry to see that very good ball player, but it did factor into the game that now they were down basically their top 2 offensive linemen on the left side, because one was injured and couldn't even play the game, and the other one got injured on this play. So they put a tight end in motion and snapped the ball. Immediately, they've got a combo block right on the nose on Devon Godshaw. They're trying to push to the right side, or their offensive right is trying to push against our defensive left. So there's a hole right there with Demario Davis staring right at Bucky Irving, and rightfully so. He wants no part of that. However, there's nothing he can do about it, because the real playmaker on this was Bryan Bresee, who's we've been waiting for 2 years now to kind of see that run defense catch up with his pass rush ability from that inside. And he's actually in a 3-tech. He's on the tackle's outside shoulder. So he's got a little more work to do in this, because he has to split him. Now, that, again, is the backup left tackle. And if I remember correct, he's even a rookie. Bresee, one of the things that Bresee can really do is explode out of that stance. One of the things that makes him a really good pass rusher, where he gets the inside position, and there's nothing 7-0 can do about it at this point. So now he is busting through there. And he's got this thing blown up before Demario Davis even can become involved. Run stuff right there. They gain 0 yards. They're going to take it to a 4th and 1, and they decide to go for it. So the very next play, and this may have been one of those instances where they realized on the previous play that Demario Davis was coming unblocked, and they need to not allow that to happen. So kind of basically the same setup almost, and even the same tight end going in motion. They snap the ball. They're comboing again on the center, and again, Gottschall is holding his ground and not getting pushed out of there. Bullard on the left side is drawing a combo block, and actually, it's almost a double combo. It started out with the tackle and one of the tight ends, but now the tackle is getting off that combo and trying to go downfield and pick up Davis, and the tight end that was in motion is going to pick up the combo on Bullard. But even so, Bullard is not getting pushed out of there. Bresee is holding his ground as well, so they're not really getting a push up front that they need. And that combo block that they had on Bullard initially with the tackle, the right tackle, he's too late. He cannot get over there and get to Davis. Tucker is now running the ball, and he had recognized that hole was open for Davis to come in, so he's trying to go left, and that's where Bresee holding his ground matters because Davis slams into him from the side, and a lot of times you see the Devin Neal example that of his video, there's a couple of times when he took hits from the side but was still able to push forward for yards after contact. There was a possibility of that happening right here. He only needed a yard. But with Bresee holding his ground, there was, even though he's trying to slide left off that tackle and keep moving, he's got nowhere to go. He's going parallel to the line of scrimmage. He's not any real attempt to push forward, and Davis has him. So he's not going to be able to blow through Davis to get that yard. He gets stuffed. No gain, turnover on downs. So now we're in the fourth quarter, and rarely do you see teams be able to keep stacking up a third down stop with a fourth down stop directly behind it to get a turnover on downs. We've done it twice already this game. We're about ready to do it the third time. It's a 3rd and 4. They're showing, and we're kind of playing this as a pass look, where we're trying to simulate a pressure look. And we blitz Demario. We're sending 3 of the D linemen. Chase Young has dropped out into coverage, and so has Pete Werner, who was up there near the line. They both rotate back to the middle of the field. This one, we had pretty decent coverage downfield, and this is also in the fourth quarter where the rain effect and the choppiness of the field was a factor. But Mayfield is going to his scrambling, and he hurt us all day long with his scrambling ability. I like the Staley play call here, the way they set it up to get some pressure, some simulated pressure, and kind of blow up what Tampa Bay was trying to do. Decent coverage behind him. And now he's trying to scramble up the middle, and that's where the running lane was for him to go. And he is corralled by, look, comes Chase Young and Pete Werner, who I do give a lot of static about his pass coverage ability. I acknowledge the fact he's real good at coming up to stop the run, and that's what he's doing here with some help from Young. And discretion, better part of valor. Mayfield's going down, and he's trying to get away from Young and prevent, taking a shot here that he probably would have taken had he tried to keep going forward to pick up that first down. So he kind of gets down to protect himself, and Young gets credit for the tackle, but basically it didn't matter. That was going nowhere. He wasn't gaining anything else, and this sets up a 4th and 2. On the 4th and 2, they're kind of in a very similar look, and the Saints kind of give them the same look, but with a different result. Still only sending 3 down linemen, 3 of our front. But this time, Demario's coming out in coverage. We're blitzing Werner in the area that Mayfield's trying to throw. So he's looking directly at this, and we've dropped Chase Young back into coverage again this time, kind of spying in on Mayfield. So now Mayfield's wanting to go the same previous play, hey, up the middle, and let me get those 2 yards, and realizes, nope, nothing there. And this is where during the day when he started scrambling around and pulling this stuff, things just broke down horribly for us. And it was on pace to do it again because he has Godwin right on the sideline for the first down. And this is the play where McKinstry did not give up on it because he was several yards off the ball or off Godwin when this ball hit the air. And he went in hard, laid the big shot. That's Godwin bobbling it right now, and he's already out of bounds. So it's an incompletion. And you get the fourth down stop. Big play by McKinstry. And I'm going to give you the broadcast view real quick because all I want to show at the end of this gives the best angle where Mayfield has just scrambled out of the pocket. Godwin, 2 yards behind the sticks. And there's really nobody there. Sanker's close, but he's kind of got a buka right there that Demario Davis is not going to be able to run with. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if Sanker has noticed Godwin is a few yards off to his left. And right there, it was almost like a slight double clutch for Mayfield, it seemed. Because like the ball's coming up and then it comes down and then he pulls it and that's when he throws it. And that's when you see McKinstry getting in the play. It's almost like that little hesitation was in. It's a game of inches, and I guess it's a game of seconds too, because that couple of second little hitch, hesitation, whatever that was, it's allowed McKinstry to close this thing up and do what he needs to do to break this pass up, because at this point it's a completion, and there you see the bobble. That's it. You get a fourth down stop. Third time in the game where we got a third down stop followed by a fourth down stop. The defense, while having its issues throughout the day, just kept finding ways to make plays and get Tampa Bay off the field without giving up points. So that's how Brandon Staley's defense shut down the Bucs when the game was on the line. Look, Alontae Taylor's pick was game-changing. Back-to-back stops 3 different times in very crucial moments of the game, getting third, then fourth down stops. And this is a unit that seems to be really learning how to find ways to win games. So by combining a defense that stepped up when it needed to with great play from young players and veterans alike, roll that in with the young offensive players kind of showing out on Sunday and really establishing themselves, Shough and Neal especially, Saints managed to pull off an upset in Tampa Bay. So this will close the books on the film room for the Tampa Bay game. Now we got to get ready for Carolina. Will we continue to see the hopeful signs from young offensive players? Will the defense continue to improve? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. But for me, hopefully the answers are yes and not no to those 2 questions. But either way, we'll break it down next week in the Saints film room. And make sure you check out Tyler Shough and Devin Neal breakdowns from Saints film room earlier in the week. And until I see you next time, I'm Tim. Peace out and who dat.